Well, hello, all of my students. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Jay, and welcome to another English lesson here on the channel where I have the opportunity to help you to improve your English comprehension, vocabulary, and your English fluency. Today I have a C3 English lesson, and it is a read and repeat lesson. So I hope you're ready for a little bit of learning and laughter. Let's get ready to dive into today's story and learn some new vocabulary words and phrases that will help improve your English. Let's dive in. Randall sat in the cockpit, rubbing his temples as the engines. Rubbing his temples. Temples, right here, temples. As the engines hummed, hummed, hummed in the background. So right off the bat, we see that Randall is frustrated. He is rubbing his temples. Something is making his head hurt. Let's find out what happens. When the flight attendant handed him a cup of coffee. He took one sip, and frowned. I am not a coffee drinker. I haven't had a cup of coffee probably since I was a child. Sometimes it smells good, but I just remember tasting it and not liking how it tasted, and I haven't had coffee since. I'm a tea drinker. Green tea, white tea, oolong tea, black tea, echinacea. I am a tea drinker. If you are a coffee drinker, let me know down in the comments. I do not like coffee at all, but let's find out why Randall was upset. This is cold. Cold. He snapped. His voice rising in irritation. His voice rising in irritation. Now, to snap, you can snap your fingers. But when a person snaps at someone, they are being very sharp. So if you were to ask me, Jay, can you pass me the remote? And if I were to snap at you, I would reply by saying, no, get your own remote. This is my remote. So I'm saying something very aggressive, very sharp. And usually it's with an attitude of being mean, okay? The attendant stiffened. So she was shocked. When she stiffened, she was like, really? You're going to talk to me like that, Randall? The attendant stiffened. Clearly uncomfortable with his sharp tone. So there are some people that do not like to be talked to in a disrespectful manner. And the flight attendant was such a person. She did not like the way Randall spoke to her. And I'm like that. I mean, I'm a nice guy, but don't disrespect me. Don't talk down to me. Oftentimes you hear adults say, look, you don't have to talk to me like a child. You are not my daddy. Okay, let's find out what happened. Randall muttered, or sometimes we say muttered. So to mutter is when a person speaks very softly. I don't know why you talk that. So he muttered, okay? You better bring me some hot coffee. I didn't like this coffee you bought me. You better be glad I ain't throw you out this airplane. So he muttered. More complaints. Complaints. His frustration spilled or spilling out like an overflowing cup. Spilling out like an overflowing cup. So his frustration, he was irritated, upset, angry. It's described as spilling out like an overflowing cup. So if I were to pour this water out of the bottle, it would just come out forcefully. It would just nonstop. And he was complaining, he was irritated, and he was just, as we would say, letting her have it. Okay? He was letting her have it. He was letting her know how angry he was, irritated he was. He was not hiding his feelings. For the rest of the flight, the mood in the cockpit remained tense. So it was very stressful in the cockpit of the airplane. And the cockpit of an airplane is the part where the pilot or pilots steer the plane through the skies. It's the part that we can't go to as we are customers flying on an airplane. Let's see what happened. After landing, Randall sat quietly. Guilt beginning to creep over him. Guilt beginning to creep over him. In other words, Randall is feeling awful about how he treated the flight attendant. So to creep means to sneak or to move slowly. So you might say the spider creeped down the wall, or you might describe a scene or the atmosphere being scary. We use the word creepy. But here in the text, notice guilt began to creep over him. So it was as if he began to feel guilty from his mind and feel it all the way down his body. It creeped over him. It began to overshadow him. He was feeling really bad about how he treated this young woman. He thought about the phone call he had missed that morning. Let's say that again. He thought about the phone call he had missed that morning. What happened, Randall, with the phone call? Let's find out. His wife had given birth to their first child, and he had not been there to hold her hand. Oh, That's going to be an upset woman when he gets home. Oh my goodness, Randall. You couldn't be there for the birth of your first child? I could see if it was maybe his third child, but his first child? It's going to be a bad situation when he gets home. The weight of that moment made him realize how unfair he had been to others. So we call that reflection. Okay, he's now reflecting on his behavior and he realizes that his behavior was terrible. Okay, he sought out, or he went to look for, he sought out the attendant and offered a sincere apology. So now he wants to ask the flight attendant to forgive him. He wants to confess his wrongdoing. Okay, so he was really serious about getting this right. That's how we describe when you do someone wrong and you want to show that you are sorry. We say, you need to get that right. And so Randall sought the attendant out to correct his behavior or to get things right. Randall admitted his anger came from regret, not from coffee. So he explained his situation and let her know, look, the cold coffee was just a trigger. It's what made me upset. But I was really angered because I missed the birth of my first child. Okay, let's read through the story without stopping at a faster pace, and then we'll be done for today. Randall sat in the cockpit, rubbing his temples as the engines hummed in the background. When the flight attendant handed him a cup of coffee, he took one sip and frowned. "This is cold," he snapped, his voice rising in irritation. The attendant stiffened, clearly uncomfortable with his sharp tone. Randall muttered more complaints, his frustration spilling out like an overflowing cup. For the rest of the flight, the mood in the cockpit remained tense. After landing, Randall sat quietly, guilt beginning to creep over him. He thought about the phone call he had missed that morning. His wife had given birth to her first child, and he had not been there to hold her hand. The weight of that moment made him realize how unfair he had been to others. He sought out the attendant and offered a sincere apology. Randall admitted his anger came from regret, not from coffee. All right, that's going to do it for today's lesson. I hope you have enjoyed today's English lesson. And as always, be sure to study again and make sure that you share it with a friend. And I hope you join me on my next English lesson. I'll see you then.